I want you to watch this video by Professor Lumumba.
He said that if we are not united in the Pan-African spirit, what is going to happen is that the imperialist is going to control us. They are going to emphasize our ethnic differences, and they are going to ensure that we begin fighting amongst one another. And as we do so, they are going to exploit us. And they started. In January 1961, they assassinated Patrice Emery Lumumba, and Congo has never been the same again. In 1963, they assassinated Sylvanus Olympio in Togo, and Togo has never been the same again. Then there were coup d'etats, Kwame Nkrumah himself. In 1966, eliminated via coup d'etat, all his writings, all his speeches banned, never to be read, never to be listened to until 1972, when Ignatius Kutu Acheampong rehabilitated him. Ahmed Ben Bella in Algeria, gone. In Nigeria, Nnamdi Azikiwe and Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, gone. In Mali, Modibo Keita, gone. In Chad, everywhere, coup d'etats. Here in Ethiopia, 1974, if I'm not wrong, coup d'etat and the emergence of the Derg regime. In East Africa, Uganda, coup d'etat, mutinies in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania in 1971. All orchestrated because we were disunited and we were weak. The predictions of our forefathers and founding mothers that disunited we would remain weak came true.
In this video that you just watched, you realize that Professor Lumumba stressed on a number of factors which has actually attributed to Africa's underdevelopment. We've allowed ourselves to be used by this Western puppet, fighting against our heroes and heroines. In the video, he stressed on how Olympia was killed, how Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown from power. And in the same video that you watched earlier, you realize that he stressed on how Patrice Emery Lumumba was overthrown and killed, kind courtesy of Mobutu Sese Seko, whose army was in alliance with the Belgian mercenaries. I mean, when you look at all these things, when you read history and then you tend to make a lot of research, you understand and appreciate the fact that some of the greatest Pan-Africanists, some of the greatest human rights activists, some of their statements that they made when they were alive is in alignment with the African mentality. When you read some of the writing by Malcolm X, you tend to understand why Malcolm stressed on the fact that they will use one of us to attack our own, and then later they will come and tell us that they didn't do it. It is true. When you read history, it has never written anywhere that Belgian government or the Belgian mercenaries went after Patrice Lumumba, but rather it was his own fellow countryman, Mobutu, who went after him. If you look at history, how Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's government was toppled over by the National Liberation Council. This, even though the declassified document or information available from the CIA suggests that they were behind the coup that toppled, or the military that toppled Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's government. We all agree. But the question is, which people normally do the bidding of these Western puppets? It is with the black people. Why? Because we have failed to realize that we can be on our own. This has been the case over the years. Olympia was killed in cold blood a few meters away from the American embassy. Olympia was not killed by foreigners. Olympia of Togo was killed by his own countrymen. When we look at most of the people who devoted themselves to the cause of Africa's unity and the people who devoted themselves to the betterment of their people in Africa, these new colonialists used their own brothers and sisters. They incited them against them to topple their government. Look at what happened to Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. The Libyans were brainwashed to believe that Gaddafi was a dictator, that Gaddafi was actually, working against his own people, forgetting that he was trying to project Libya as a superpower. But at the end of the day, what do we say today? Libya is in ruins. This is what they are trying to do to Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso and Assimi Goïta of Mali and other great people or personalities that are currently ruling in Africa. We have been made, or we are always caught up in this kind of divisive tendencies. This person belongs to my ethnic group. You don't belong to my ethnic group. Oh, you share the same religious ideologies or views with me. You don't share, or you have a different religious views or ideology, and so you are my enemy. This has been the case of Africa. We've turned up to be our own enemies. We've been downplaying on our potentials. We've been creating avenue for these Westerners to take advantage of our inability to unite as people. Sometimes it is so sad that you look at our contemporary African society and you realize that some of the things that these new colonialists use our naive leaders at the time to fight against the true pioneers of African unity and Pan-Africanism. It is being replicated today in a different form, because currently we love our political parties more than our country's progress. When I will use Ghana as an example. In my earliest video, I already stressed on how the current president is managing the economy of Ghana, or is currently ruling in Ghana here. He was the president of Ghana. He was voted out we voted against him. He stayed home for 8 years and we voted for him again. And you could see that he has learned a lot from his previous administration. He has really learned a lot. And you find some group of people in Ghana who are currently supporters or members of the opposition party praying that the government of the day will fail so that electorate will vote for them. Yes, I understand that is how politics plays out. But in as much as you are engaging in politics, you must not let your partisan affiliation take absolute control of your mental faculty, eluding your spirit of patriotism and nationalism. This is our current situation of Africa. We've caught up in so many things that we've allowed those things to take our mental faculty, thereby eluding and then erasing our sense of nationalism and patriotism towards our country. This is the current problem of Africa. If not, every day we will come and be talking about our heroes, how they fell in battle. The battle that we are talking about here is the zeal to make Africa great. Enough of the stories about Kwame Nkrumah, enough of the stories of Patrice Lumumba, enough of the stories of Thomas Sankara, enough of the stories of Olympio, enough of the stories of the great men who were ousted out of power. Look at what is currently happening in Africa. Cameroon, when you go there, Paul Biya is 90-something years. He's still in power. He cannot do anything. You could actually tell that somebody is just somewhere and the person is remote controlling Paul Biya. When you go to Uganda, His Excellency Museveni, I don't know whether I'm correct with his name, Kakuta Museveni, he's trying to go or contest again for the 7th time. He has been in power for over 30 years. And you tend to question yourself, why are some Ugandans still voting for such people? And then when you bring such issues out, people will be saying that they've been rigging election. Let me tell you one thing. When the whole country is against a dictator or against a tyranny, or when the whole system or when the whole country is against corrupt government, the power that the government derives is from the people, and the people can take that power from the government itself. But it's quite unfortunate. whenever they go for election, you have people still voting for His Excellency Kakuta Museveni, and they get the opportunity to rig elections. I understand. Look at what is happening in Togo. Faye Gnassingbé for the past 20 years has been changing the constitution just to entrench himself in power. And when you go to most of these African countries whose leaders, they cannot even walk, yet they are standing for elections. What does it tell us? What it tells us is that the Western world, they are in support of such leaders because for them, they can be able to control and exploit Africa for so many years that they desire. And it's quite unfortunate that the youth of Africa most are looking unconcerned. It's very, very unfortunate. So, like I said earlier, we can go on over and over and over again, hitting on how the Western world or the Western bloc, through their dubious means, eliminated leaders who stood exceptionally for their African citizens, eliminating them in rough tactics, being coup d'etat or assassination. We can be crying over all these things, but at the end of the day, we will still be where we are if we don't cultivate that habit of saying no to neo-colonialism. That is our current problem in Africa here. Everybody is trying to get the opportunity to be in government with the sole intention of enriching himself or herself through unconstitutional means. Now, nobody cares if they steal from the state. Nobody gives a damn when people are sleeping on the street, when dreams are being shattered and aborted. Politicians don't give a hoot about anybody. So long as they are benefiting, that is all that they desire. And so long as this Western bloc continues to exploit the resources of Africa, they tend to sponsor these politicians with the sole intention of making sure that they will stay in power for so many years, which will help in achieving their goals and agenda against Africa. This is the current situation of Mother Africa.